This shop is a mess. All right, you guys, so today I'm gonna do a shorter video. Well, it's not gonna be short actually. It's gonna be a longer video, but it's gonna be kind of two videos in one. I'm gonna do a video, this video is gonna be about unboxing of my new Matthews. And then it's also going to be about a Lancaster unboxing for the USAT team, what they send out to all the USA team members. So I'm gonna unbox that in this video. So we're gonna do that real quick, open everything up, and then I'm gonna go through setting up the Matthews V3. So we got everything out and ready to be unboxed. We're gonna go ahead and start with the Lancaster boxes because I like to give credit where credit is due for companies, even if it's not a company that I support or that supports me in my shooting career. Still, if you're doing something nice or cool, I wanna give them a little bit of praise, for lack of a better word, for doing something cool. So, but we're gonna go ahead and start by opening up these Lancaster boxes. Oh, this isn't even Matthew stuff. This is just another fletching jig. I like the Bitzenberger, and then I get this Zenith, I think is what it's called. Yeah, Zenith archery products. It's like the replacement for the actual head that turns the turn knob that you can adjust what type of fletchings you put on your arrow. So that wasn't that. This must be the USAT box. So we'll go ahead and open this up. So first thing we have is a hat. It's a 2021 United States archery team from Lancaster Archery. And then there is looks like a Lancaster release pouch inside here also. It's the same kind of thing. United States Archery Team. And it says Lancaster on it, so thank you, Lancaster. It's pretty cool of you guys. So I'm pretty sure these are mods. I guess we don't have anything else to do but the bow, so we'll go ahead and start opening up this thing. All right. Okay, so first thing to go with our V3 is I got this super nice quiver. I looked online for different types of quivers for quite a while. I didn't do extensive research on it, but from the small amount of research that I did, or moderate amount of research that I did, this seemed to be the best quiver on the market. And that's generally not the way that it goes. The arrow web, I think I got the three arrow quiver, arrow web quiver, or this is the 4 arrow. Super small, super light, and it clips into this thing, into the mount really snugly. So you don't really have to worry about your quiver falling off unless you want it to come off. You can get it off if you want, but it stays pretty secure in there. And generally with quivers from like a maker of a bow, or you know, whenever people come out of their lanes with archery equipment, generally that doesn't go very well. Like their equipment isn't always the best. The hat, obviously. The owner's manual and stickers. And the last thing in this box is the Matthews V3 in First Light Spectre. I love this color, man. When I saw this, I was like, okay, that's the one I have to get, because this one will allow me to use it in pretty much any terrain, because you can use this in a tree, you can use this in a blind, you can use this probably in the snow decently because it's got a lot of like lighter colors in it. And then you can also use it out west. It really blends in out here, like in the out west and stuff. It really blends into all the terrain out here. So I was like, this is the color that I gotta get. I'm pretty sure this is the new color that they got too. It's like the one that came out what, a year ago or something. It's been out for a second now, but it's the newer one that they have, and it is awesome. It really does look good in person too. I was hoping it would look like this in person, because I was kind of worried, like, well, when I get it, is it gonna look like it looks in the picture? But yeah, super nice. I'm really excited to shoot it. It doesn't actually look very small in my hand. I think the riser does help with that, because another thing I was worried about is the axle to axle. But the axle to axle, I mean, it is going to be a big deal, like anchoring wise and finding draw length, because I don't know. It depends on where the cams lock in when they hit the wall, because your axle to axle makes a difference, but these large cams on here, it's gonna make a difference in the way the string angle is, because if they lock back and, you know, the cam's sitting like right here, then the string angle is really about 2 or 3 inches higher on either side than where the axle is actually sitting. So it may not be as big of a deal. That's what I think a lot of people don't take into consideration, is that the cams make a difference on what your string angle is going to be. And this riser is super long. It doesn't feel really small in my hand. It feels pretty big, really. I mean, it feels like almost like my tournament bow, really. So I'm hoping that it shoots like that, or it feels like that at full draw. Hopefully I can get a good draw length to loop length ratio on this thing. So, but we'll see. So we're gonna go ahead and take all this stuff, and I'm gonna show you guys the rest that I'm putting on it, the sight that I'm putting on it, which if you guys have watched my other videos, you know what sight I'm putting on it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what rest I'm gonna be putting on it to start with especially, and then my front bar, back bar, and I'm getting new Gas Ghost camo strings for this, so excited to get those things and put those on here as well. And that's pretty much it. I knew I had another box from Matthews, and I did. I just didn't take it out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it real quick, show you guys what's in it. I don't even remember what's in this box actually. So I'm gonna open it up and we're gonna see what's inside of that. And then we'll get into what's going on the bow and then how to set it up, or how I set it up. So I got some more mods. I have I think there's 3 different mods that I ordered just to be safe, because I don't know about the string angle of that bow and like what I'm actually gonna need for that bow. I got some side plates for the, the focus grip. I got the focus grip because I wanted to try that. And then I also got the engaged limb legs, which I'm pretty excited about, which you're supposed to be able to shoot these, shoot the bow with these on it, because it attaches to the actual limb pocket instead of your limb. So there's there's very little deflection in anything that this is attached to. So you don't really have to worry about any type of change in impact from with and without that on the bow. And then I got this silent connect system for tree stand use, mainly is what I'm gonna use it for. I know you can get these and put like a sling on your bow with these, but that's not what I got it for. I just got it for the tree stand use, because that's more than likely what I'm gonna use it for. So now let's get started on what we said we were gonna get started on a while ago. So another thing that's super cool about the new Matthews, the new bows that they have out right now, is that the back side of these bows had this like rail system to where you can mount certain types of rests to the riser right there, and it's supposed to help get rid of some of the side load that is induced from like your sight bar and your rest being mounted on that side of the bow. That's one of the benefits of it. The other benefit that I like is that it encourages that your rest is mounted directly flush with the riser, instead of having it like a massive overdraw or anything like that. Of course, you can still move those rests back and forth, but I just like that it's mounted directly onto the riser, because with bows that have brace height, I don't like to get rid of any of the brace height on the bow. The only reason that I would even say that might be a good idea is to torque tune, but that's the reason why I don't torque tune with my rest, is because I don't want to get rid of any forgiveness and trying to gain forgiveness. I'm not going to get rid of forgiveness back here to gain forgiveness from something in the front. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I like to torque tune with my sight and leave the rest at max flushness, I guess, with the riser as I can. That way I can get forgiveness from both sides of the spectrum there. Also, it doesn't help having your rest blade back here instead of having it right above your grip, because what that does is the further your rest blade is from your grip, so your hand's in the bow like this and your rest blade is sitting right here, right? So when you torque the bow, the rest blade stays pretty much where your hand is. It doesn't torque it as much, but when you start putting your rest blade further back and you start torquing the bow, you're increasing the distance that tip is pulled out of center of what you're aiming at. So I don't like having the rest blade super far back. I like having it kind of right above my grip, because it reduces the amount of torque that you're gonna see from the arrow coming out of the bow, if that makes sense. So, but anyways. All right, you guys. So we are going to have the Excel Landslyde as the sight, the 4-arrow arrow web quiver. I'm going to try out the focus grip. The Hamskea Trinity Hunter Pro is going to be the rest that I'm going to be using for this hunting season. And then obviously the wind legs and the Silent Connect system. And then I'm also going to try out different mods and stuff like that. All right. So I'm just going to go to where the string barely touches the string. The string stops on both sides. That scared me. And then I'm going to stop just where it starts brushing the string stops on all of the setups. That timing is actually not very good, which is surprising. But I'm gonna have to adjust the timing first. All the other bow company owners out there, if you would have gone with this bow, then it wouldn't have been, that timing would have been perfect. It's not the company's job to tune your bow. Probably the strings anyways. Pretty good. Oh yeah. Now we're good. Okay. All right. So I just remembered that I ordered an OMP micro adjust vice grip or bow vice, and it hasn't shown up yet because it's on back order. So I bought this thing like 2 months ago, and it's absolute trash. Do not ever order one of these. I just ordered it off Amazon as like a temporary thing until I got my other bow vise, but it's taken forever to get it, and this is garbage and I can't use it because the actual nut that holds this on to the actual thing. Actually, maybe I can use this. You know what? Might be able to make this rig this up to work. But still don't buy one of these because they suck. I just really needed to sit level this way so that I can mount the rest properly. So I really don't need it to be left and right, like that way level. So let's grab our levels. I really like this HTM machine level. I feel like the tolerances on this thing is a lot less, or they have a lot tighter tolerances, lower tolerances. So you just tighten that down on the string and then level it back and forth. We got our rest. We're gonna go ahead and mount this to the bow. I'm just gonna run this bolt in without anything just to kind of get, because sometimes these coatings that they put on the bows, they don't, like, they get into the thread the threads inside of the thread tracks, I guess. And whenever you start trying to put something on there, I like to try to do this first. That way I know I'm not cross-threading anything, because those that extra coating that goes inside those holes kind of makes it feel like you're cross-threading it. So I like to just smooth out the holes for these first. All right, we finally got it, I think. So that looks about probably as close as we're gonna get that. And then from there, we're gonna go ahead and throw on the sight. So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of pieces to this puzzle here that are kind of confusing even to me. So first thing, we're going to go ahead and mount the bar to the actual sight. So we're going to take this and mount it to the actual sight. I don't really know where, so we'll just put it in the middle for now. Let's go ahead and mount this sight bar mounting bracket to the bow. So let's snug that down pretty good. You don't want that going anywhere. Now we got that mounted, so this is just going to slide in just like your XPs or anything else. It's going to have the same, like, maybe the same ball bearing clicking system, just like the Excel, Achieve XPs and stuff like that do. So go ahead. So I have a Hamskea Raptor peep that I intend to use on this. And it's going to be the 3/16 one to begin with. I also have the Hamskea limb bracket, the drop away bracket for the limb. So I'm going to be switching what's currently on this bow out with this. All right, so that's installed. So we'll go ahead and run this cable down and through there just to get it kind of out of the way. We got the cable through there, and we'll just pull it tight just for now and then tie a knot. This is starting to look like a real bow. So rest is installed, sights installed, they'll need to be adjusted. All right, so we got the L level leveled vertically and horizontally, or horizontally and vertically on the string. And then I have the Hamskea 3rd axis leveling tool on the sight already. So we're gonna go ahead and level the 1st and 2nd axis real quick. And then when we get outside, I'll go ahead and level the 3rd axis, but I'm not gonna do this on film. I'm just gonna tell you guys that I did it, and then I'm gonna show you exactly where to loosen the bolts so that you can adjust each one of those things. So, but if you wanna watch like how I level my sight, my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd axis on my sight, watch my Excel Achieve XP unboxing video, and then that has like a full in-depth video on how I do that. The first spot that you're gonna have to loosen up is going to be these two screws right here. My camera will focus. Those two right there. That's going to pivot your sight in that way. That's your 1st axis. And then the next two that you're going to have to loosen is going to be this middle bolt right here between the two sticking out. This one, and there's one underneath in the same spot, and that is going to be the other one that you're gonna have to loosen. So this one, and that's gonna pivot your 2nd axis on your 1st axis. And then the last bolt that you're gonna need to, the last 2 bolts that you're gonna need to loosen are these other 2 that were right next to that, and that's going to pivot your sight in and out in that manner. So that's the third axis, 2nd axis, and 1st axis of that sight. that you're going to need to adjust the leveling on it. Alright, so we got our first and second axis set on our sight. We got our rest completely leveled. So I got the loop off there, and now we're basically just going to try to find our knocking points. I'm just taking a T-square and running it straight through the burger button, maybe like a 1/16 of an inch high. And then from there, I'm just going to make a mark on the string with a silver Sharpie, and then I'll know that that is the center of where I want my arrow to sit. So I'll throw a knocking point on either side of my knock whenever I put my arrow on there, and then I can throw a loop on, and then I've already measured where my other bow was sitting as far as peep sight height from the center of my knocking point, so I can go ahead and throw a peep sight in at 5 1/4, which is what my other bow was set at, and then that should get me to a good starting point. We're pretty much almost done with this thing. So alright, so we got our mark made for our knocking point. Go ahead and throw this T-square back. And we can take this bow out of the vise. Alright, so we got our mark made for where our peep sight's going to go. Let's go ahead and press this down. Get this string separated. Grab our peep sight. The main reason I like these peep sights, the Raptor peep sights or the Insight peep sights, is the baffling system that they have inside. Like, I know that other peep sights have baffling systems based off of their threads, but these have actually they're made with baffles in them besides the threads. So they seem to work really well in different lighting conditions, like where the sun is in the sky. Because I know some people have problems with that, including myself. I'm gonna have to redo all of this once I get my other string, but that's okay. We need to go ahead and start trying to get this thing set up now. So we're gonna throw this peep sight in on the 38-degree angle, because it comes with a trough basically on the peep sight for a 45-degree angle peep or a 38-degree angle peep, whatever you choose. So generally, the shorter the axle bow is, you're gonna put it on the 38-degree angle, and then the higher the axle, probably around 36, probably axle to axle, you'll switch over to like a 45-degree angle peep sight. Alright, so we got the peep sight in. We're just going to tie it in just around the peep sight. We're not going to do the whole tie. We're just going to tie around it just to keep it secure in there. And then we'll go ahead and take it outside. Check the poundage first while we're in here. And then we will take it outside and paper tune / third axis. So I also have a peep sight tying video up. It's just specifically peep sight tying, so if you want to see how I tie my peep sights, like the full way that I tie my peep sights, you can watch that video, and I'll link that to this video as well. We're good with that. We'll go ahead and throw an arrow on here. I'm pretty positive this is where my knocking point's going to end up staying, but I'm not certain yet. We'll just do a loop. We'll do a loop, that way I can adjust it up and down if I need to for now, and then once I figure out for sure where it's going to be, then I will put some knocking points in. Again, I have another video up for tying in loops if you want to see all of the ins and outs of how I do that, reasons I do certain things, and everything else. You can watch that video, and I'll link that to this video also. We'll take our knocking pliers or our loop pliers. I use these Easton pliers because they have these little notches on the tip up here, so you can fit this side on the string and this side on the loop, and then you can like pull it apart. They have like these pliers. I used these for a while, and these are great for like pretty much doing the whole loop, as long as you don't want your loop to be over about 7/8 of an inch. If you start getting a loop length that's over 7/8 of an inch, then you're probably not going to be able to use those pliers. That's why I ended up having to get these. So I think that'll put us pretty much where we need to be on our loop, peep sight, timing, rest and sight. Oh, our front and back bar, duh. Okay, so we got Conquest, Control Freak. I think these are the 450, Micro 450 Plus. And then I have for my front bar, I'm using the 500 Pro, the SmackDown 500 Pro from Conquest. So we'll go ahead and throw those on there right now. Okay, and then our back bar mount. Where is the bolt? It's supposed to go right there. I don't know where my bolt is. These are not my favorite front and sidebar mounts. These are the ones you can get from Conquest Archery. And they're just not very micro-tunable. They're very secure in the sense that they have teeth inside. So that's kind of nice because every time that you move it, it will lock into some teeth. But it also doesn't allow you to like fine tune between those teeth because you have from here to here. And that's the only positions you can choose from. So if you need somewhere between here and here, like in the middle, yeah, that's not gonna happen. So not a big fan of those. And then they're really sharp edged, which is a good thing because you can put the mount right up against the riser of the bow, very flush. But when you crank down on it, it tends to want to like turn, and you can scarp your bow pretty easy. Or if you put weight on it and it wants to start sagging down, you can end up putting some scars into your riser. But for a hunting bow, you're not going to be putting enough weight on the bow, most likely, to actually put enough weight for it to have enough leverage to actually put any type of mark on your bow. So that's not too big of a deal for these, but it officially feels like a real bow. All right, we're going to go ahead and just check the poundage on this thing real quick. It should be 75, which I'm assuming is probably pretty close. So it feels like 75. That string angle isn't bad at all, actually. It makes you have to come down a little bit, but I'd say that's pretty perfect. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. .3, 16.8, which isn't a bad holding weight either. So we've got everything done. We've got the stabilizers installed, sight, rest, peep sight, loop location. We've checked the poundage. I think I already said that. Timing, did all that stuff. Everything should be good to go on this bow. So we're gonna go outside. We're gonna paper tune it real quick. We're gonna double check the third axis on it, fix that if we need to, paper tune it, and then from there we can just go ahead and start sighting in the sight, and then the bow is fully set up and ready to go. Alright you guys, so anybody that watches my videos knows how important paper tuning and paper tuning correctly is to me. And so I'm kind of breaking one of my own rules today by not being in the right equipment or gear that I plan to be actually shooting this bow in. But I'm gonna do that on my own time. For the sake of the video, I'm just gonna go ahead, do some paper tuning shots through this paper tuner, and then we will look at how the bow's paper tuned, fix it if it needs to be fixed, and then we're gonna go ahead and check the third axis while we're standing right here next to it, and then we'll be done with the bow and we can go ahead and start sighting it in, provided that my paper tune is correct after I get it paper tuned in whatever clothing that I plan on wearing, which is probably gonna be long sleeves, and it's gonna change from area to area, weather condition to weather condition, but you can always just double check it. It's not gonna change a dramatic amount, but if you want like pinpoint accuracy and pinpoint precision on what your setup is capable of, then you really need to double check that stuff every time you plan on changing something. You really the paper tune is one of the most important things. It gives you instant feedback of what is actually going on in your system based off of what you're doing and what you're wearing. So it's really important. It's a great tool. So yeah, I'm gonna go against one of my rules a little bit here, but just know that I know that. All right, so there is both of the tears. The first one was the top one, second one was the bottom one, but it's both the tears. It's really good, actually. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of adjustment on it, but it's not gonna be too terribly hard to get this thing shooting bullet holes. Just a little bit left. So that was my first one, that was my second one, and then that was my last shot, which is pretty much perfect. So we're just gonna leave it there for now. We're gonna go ahead, kind of losing daylight right now. I mean, sun's pretty much went behind the hill, so we're gonna have to probably come back out here tomorrow and start sighting it, actually sighting it in. But as far as everything else goes, the bow's pretty much set up now, so. All right, you guys, good morning. We're gonna go ahead and finish out this bow today. All right, you guys, so after last night, I started thinking about the setup, and I just went ahead and decided to go ahead and micro tune my draw length and my loop length today. So we went ahead and did that, and then we went ahead and started paper tuning again. We got everything set up. We got the Silent Connect system on. We got our arrow web system on, and we got the bow completely set up to where once we get it paper tuned, all we have to do is sight it in. And these are my last 3 shots through paper, so I think we're good to go. Me and my wife, Shella, we have an appointment here this morning. It is Sunday, so we're gonna head out of here, and then as soon as we get back, we're going to go ahead and start sighting in this bow, which is what I'm super excited about because it's kind of the fun part of this setup. So we'll see y'all in a little bit. All right, you guys, so we just got home and it sounds like it's about to rain. There's a lot of thunder out here, so I'll just try to get in a couple shots and then we'll see where we can go, how far we can get, and then we'll go in if we need to. Just felt a raindrop. We're gonna have to take a break, I think. All right, you guys, so I'm standing here at about 20 yards, and I think we're finally gonna be able to finish this video up. So one thing I haven't talked about yet in this video is arrow weight and bow speed. So my arrows are gonna end up weighing around 450 to 460 grains after everything is set up the way that I want it to be set up, and my bow speed is gonna be right at 300 foot a second with those arrows. So basically that's gonna put me at around a 6.5 grains per pound ratio for a 75-pound bow, and that is totally fine. It's on the lower side of things, but it's not gonna tear your bow up or cause any type of mistakes happening with the bow. So I like to have a smaller sight tape and a flatter trajectory instead of this higher front of center trend that's been going around. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this thing in at 20 yards, and then we will go ahead and find our 50-yard mark, and then I'll show you guys how to sight in the Landslyde in a quick manner. But in future videos, probably either next week or the week after, I'm going to put out a super in-depth video on how to sight in the Excel Landslyde, because it's super confusing to me, and I wanted to put something out there. After I figured it out, I wanted to put something out there that other people could benefit from, and I think that I have come up with a really good method to not only help you sight in the Landslyde, but really just maximize your hunting sight so that you can really get the most out of it. But right now we're going to go ahead and sight in our 20-yard pin here. Okay. Right. There you guys, so it looks like we're hitting a little high, so we're just gonna adjust our entire scope housing up slightly. So we're not gonna adjust the pin, we're just gonna we're gonna gang adjust the entire scope housing up a little bit until we're hitting this tape mark. Same height. All right, you guys, so the first shot here was pretty much a perfect shot. And it was a little low, and this one I felt like I kind of bobbed up and it came just barely off the tape. And it was just barely on the tape on the high side. So I think I'm a little low, but it's a 20-yard mark, and it's gonna be really hard to fine tune the whole gang adjust system, the scope housing, to move it that little bit amount. So I'm just gonna leave it there for now. We're gonna go back to probably 55 yards, and I'm gonna get a 55-yard mark for this sight. So basically, we're gonna go to 55 because my pin gap's gonna be very small because I'm shooting so fast. My system's shooting so fast. So I wanna make sure that I have enough space between my top pin and my bottom pin to also have my middle pins between those two pins. So I'm gonna go back as far as I can and get a sight marking for that location, which is 50, it's actually like 57 and a half. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do 55 though, unless I can't make it work, and then I'll step back a couple yards. Before we take a couple shots here at 55 yards, one thing we have to do that I forgot about is we need to make sure that we make our sight marking on this blank piece of paper over our sight tape for our 20-yard mark, because we used our top pin and our top pointer on our first marking at 20 yards. Okay, so we've got our mark. It's a little too big, but it's there. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust this whole housing down to about the gap that we think we're gonna have for 55 yards. So I think my gap to 55 is gonna be right around there. We're using this top pointer again and our top pin inside this housing. So we're gonna shoot with our top pin, using our top pointer at 55 yards. And then we're gonna find the 55 yard sight mark location with our top pin and mark right at the top pointer indicator again. And that'll give us our sight tape gap. All right, so let's take a couple shots here at 55 yards. Okay, looks like I'm hitting to the right, so we'll adjust our windage a little bit here. Okay, this was my first shot, and I aimed right around in here, and I hit way over here, so I adjusted my windage a little bit, left my elevation where I had it set, and this was my second shot, and I felt like I came up just a little bit. So that's actually really close for a 55 yard mark. So we're gonna go ahead and we are gonna shoot one more end just to double verify that is correct. And then from there, we'll go ahead and make our mark. Low, dropped out. It's a lot of low. It's actually a lot of low. That one wasn't terrible. It felt decent. Yeah, so this was my first shot. I dropped pretty hard on that one, and it was pretty bad. Pretty bad shot. This was a second shot here, and it wasn't a terrible shot, but it did drop low. So I think we're just pretty close to the sight mark here. I'm just making user errors at this point, but we're gonna shoot one more just to make sure. Come on, Angus. 2 good shots, dude. Beautiful. Beautiful. So yeah, that's very good with me. So this was a really good shot. This was a really good shot. They both hit. This one hit center of the tape. This one hits high tape. So I am good with that. We'll go ahead and make our mark on the sight tape. So we've got our locations found for both 20 and 55. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and make our mark on the sight tape and on the top pointer again, right there. The ink will ever come out. Okay, so we got our mark made for our 20 and our 55. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna find what sight tape matches up with this gap. So what sight tape has the 20 and the 55 matching those two marks. All right, you guys, so we have found the sight tape that works the best for these markings. It's the number 3 sight tape, and it matches up pretty perfectly with 55 and 20. So what we're gonna do, first thing that we're gonna have to do is move the whole housing to where the top pointer is back in line with that 20 yard mark. So let's do that right now. Okay, you guys, so make sure that your sight is very firmly locked down on this side, because now you're gonna have to start adjusting this bottom pointer. So we're gonna adjust this bottom pointer so that it matches with that bottom mark. So let's do that real quick. Okay, so we're gonna take our 5/64, I believe. I think it's a 5/64 Allen wrench, and we're gonna go ahead and loosen that bolt up, and we're gonna slide this down so that it matches that 55-yard mark. Okay, so once we got that there, we're gonna tighten it back up, and then we're going to remove this sight tape. This is where it's super critical that you don't have any travel in your sight. So if you remove this sight tape and the sight housing, the scope housing moves at all, then you're gonna have to redo these steps. So you wanna make sure that it doesn't move. And then you're gonna take this sight housing off, or this sight tape off. When you do this, make sure you don't drop these screws, because I've already done that once and it took me about 2 hours to find it. Okay, now we're gonna just remove this sight tape. We'll take our new sight tape and we're gonna put this in here and install it in the closest location. So what's important to know is that if they don't match up perfectly to start with, so say like right now, they're not matching up very well with where the bolts or the screws were. But what you can do, since the sight is in the right location, you can move these pointers to the 20-yard mark and the 55-yard mark after it's bolted down, and your 20 and your 40 and your 55 are going to still be the same. So we can go ahead and screw the sight tape in. All right, so we have our sight tape installed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that Allen wrench again, and we're going to loosen this top pointer indicator, and then we're going to slide that to the 20-yard location. So now we got our 20 in the right position. We're going to move this 55, this other pointer, to the 55-yard location. So that's in the right position, so we'll tighten those down, and then now we have our pointers in the right location. So basically we have 3 of the 4 corners of the box complete. So you have your 20-yard pin sighted in at 20, your top pointer is at 20, and your bottom pointer is at 55. So from there, what you're going to do is you're going to take your bottom pin and you're going to start adjusting that bottom pin into the 55-yard position. So you're not going to adjust your scope housing at all now. You're going to leave it still sitting at 20 and 55, and then you're going to adjust that bottom pin to give that last corner to that box, to make a perfect box. And then from there you can just sight in your middle pins to whatever distances you choose, and your sight is complete and ready to travel and do anything you need it to do. All right, so we're going to take a couple shots here with our bottom pin to see where we're sitting at right now. 55 yards, bottom pin. Okay, so right now we're a little low. Okay, so we're a little low here, so we're gonna go ahead and make an adjustment on our pin itself. All right, so to adjust your pins here on this Excel Landslyde sight, what you're going to do is you're going to loosen up the bolt inside of this scope housing box that corresponds with your pin. So the top bolt, top pin, next bolt, next pin, next bolt, next pin, etc., all the way down to the bottom pin. So we need to move our bottom pin down. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen this bottom bolt, and then we're going to take this turn knob down here, and we're going to turn this turn knob to adjust this bottom pin lower. Let's move it down to right about there. That should be a lot closer. All right, so we'll take a couple shots here at 55 yards, bottom pin. Felt good. Looks a little low. felt good, a little low. I dropped a little bit on it. That's about what I thought it was gonna be. We raised it about an inch, inch and a half there. So now we're gonna do about the same adjustment again to that pin, try to bring it up to where it's hitting the sight tape. We're looking a little low still, so we're gonna take our Allen wrenches here and we're gonna make another very small adjustment, about the same as before. All right. Beautiful shot. Do one more. I pulled high. So yeah, this one we just pulled high a little bit and it hit the tape. And so I have pretty good verification and I'm still a little low. So we're gonna make another adjustment to that pin a little bit lower. And then we are going to shoot it again and see if we can get both arrows on the tape. All right, so let's do one more slight adjustment here. So we'll go ahead and run two more out of this thing. See if we can get them on the tape here. I'm just trying to keep it out of the wood. A little bob below there. That one was pretty good. A little low again, but not too bad. So this one felt really good up until like the last quarter of a second until the release fired. Then I kind of had like a bob low, but it came back up and was in the right spot by the time the release fired. So I couldn't really tell if it was going to be where it needed to be or not. So I kind of just disqualified this arrow. This arrow was really good, and then it dropped low again. So that might be telling me something's wrong in my system, that I might need to add a weight to the back or take a weight off the front. But for now, I'm not going to worry about that. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to just shoot two more out of this thing, not make an adjustment, and see if we can get this thing hitting the tape. Let's do two more here. That was a good shot. Beautiful. Both of those shots were really good shots. All right, you guys, so both of these shots were really good shots. And this is only about like a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch electrical tape on here. And at 55 yards, I'm not gonna move this anymore. I'd say that this is probably about the location for that pin. So now that we have that pin in its location, we have our box formed in our sight. Our 20-yard pin is at 20 yards. Our 20-yard pointer, our top pointer is at 20 yards. Our bottom pointer is at 55 yards, and our bottom pin is at 55 yards. So we have that box formed on our sight. So from here, what we're gonna do is just adjust the middle pins. I'm not gonna show you guys that part because that part's easy. You just adjust your middle pins to whatever yardage that you choose. And then from there, you can do whatever you want with this sight. I love this sight for the reason that if you have something at 80 yards that you wanna shoot, but you don't have a pin, you can just crank that bottom pointer down to 80 yards and use your bottom pin at 80 yards and you'll be hitting perfectly with your bottom pin. So it's really cool. It makes a hunting sight more like a tournament sight and gives you a lot more accessibility to different yardages. All right, you guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope this video helped somebody out there out. If If you don't mind, please do like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff. And then also, if you're interested in coming back to this video later for whatever reason, save the video to your watch later list. That way you can find it and come back to it for further reference. I really appreciate all of you guys watching this video, and I will see y'all next time.